Well, before you guys get started on your next remodeling or construction project, we've got a few tips you're going to want to hear. We have our director of our Metropolitan Area Building and Construction Department, Tom Stoltz, here with us today. Tom, thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
So what kind of advice do you have for people before they get started?
Well, anytime you take on a construction project, either in your business or in your home, you should look at the project in three phases. Specifically if you're going to hire contractors or subcontractors to come in and do some work for you. First of all, the first phase is check the basics. All legitimate contractors in Sedgwick County have to be licensed and certified through the Metropolitan Area Building and Construction Department. And we are in the process of modifying our website so that citizens can have access to that, but until that modification is done, we ask that they just call one of our two offices. We have an office here at City Hall and an office at 1144 South Seneca. City Hall is 268-4413. Seneca is 660-1840, and ask whether the potential contractor that you're hiring is licensed in our organization, and we can tell you yes or no. Mm-hmm. We strongly recommend not hiring someone who is not licensed in Sedgwick County. Another option for a customer is to call the Better Business Bureau or use their website at kansasplains.bbb.org to check on if there are any complaints against a potential contractor that they're going to hire. And they can also contact the Wichita Area Builders Association, which can give references for contractors. So after that's a very basic step, takes just a few minutes. After that is finished, then it's time to look for quality of work. To meet whatever need is you have personally as far as the specifics of what kind of work you want done at your house. And you can do that by asking your contractor for references, and legitimate contractors, and we have several hundred of them in Sedgwick County, are glad to give you references. You can call, or I would recommend driving by and looking at their work and validating that's the kind of quality that you want. MABCD, our department will not. We are only concerned with code. We will not gauge quality. So those are the kinds of things that you as a consumer have to go look at yourself. And then finally, the final phase of hiring a contractor is to finalize the deal. We still have a lot of people that want to do handshake deals or verbal agreements with contractors, and that's very risky because some of these jobs are extremely complex in nature, and it's a good idea to get everything down on paper. Good contractors, legitimate contractors, don't mind doing that. In fact, it helps them to stay on task with what the customer wants, so they'll be glad to do a contract work with a customer. All good contractors, all licensed contractors know that they have to pull permits through our office to do specific pieces of work on the job. If your contractor asks you to come down and pull a permit, that is a red flag. You should call us right away. That is not normal. And then depending on the scope of the work, there will be several inspections that take place through the process. If you're not seeing inspections happening, if you're not being notified, you need to call our office as well. All projects will have a final inspection. If you don't get that or receive that, that's also a red flag, and you need to call our office and we'll see what happened. So all of these things, we have a number of really excellent contractors. We're very blessed in this community to have good, honest contractors that want to do the job correctly, but as in any jurisdiction, we have some people that trying to make a quick buck, and we have our fair share of scams going on in Sedgwick County, but it's very easy to protect yourself against that.
When you were talking about the inspections, is that something that your office sends me a copy of the inspection results, or is that something my contractor provides me?
It's a team effort. Whenever you have a building project going on, there is an owner, there is the contractor, and then there is codes. And we all work together, and we all should be communicating together. So as inspections are done, we respond to when the contractor calls for an inspection. You as a homeowner have a right to ask when inspections are being done, making sure they're being done, and a good contractor will be telling the customer that certain phases have passed inspection and are moving on to the next step, or if there's difficulty with codes and they may have to modify something. So that communication is a three-way street, so to speak, that everybody should be talking to everyone else.
I thought it was interesting earlier when you said actually drive by to the places where they've done the work, rather than maybe just having them email you a picture.
Right.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, sometimes in construction projects, photos are two-dimensional. You can't, this doesn't serve the purpose of what is a three-dimensional structure. So sometimes if you're looking at a sunroom or an addition onto a home or a brand new home, it's easy to drive by, look at the structure on the outside, look at the addition that they built on, and you'll be able to tell quality. And then it just tests also that the references that the contractor is giving you are real and valid. They're not just making up numbers or addresses. So to go by and have a look, I think it serves a couple of purposes, and I think it's just good business. People get ready to spend $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, $20,000, or new home prices. I think it's worth some homework.
Right, yeah, you want to make sure you're in good hands, for sure. When you were talking about the contract, what are the key components that should be included in the contract?
Well, a very good description of the scope of work to be done. Many times contractors will ask for a certain amount of dollars up front so that they can begin to pre-buy materials to do the job, and that's very legitimate and normal. That needs to be specific, though, how much that's going to be, and then the good contractors will be glad to show you receipts of the product that they went out to purchase. With that upfront money, you should require that in the contract as well. Things, if you're on a timeline, how fast you want it done, and all of those kinds of things, just like any other contract you sign to purchase a vehicle or to get delivery on any kind of product, should be included in that kind of contract as well. And contractors are licensed, good contractors are more than happy to do that.
Okay. I'd like to have you talk a little bit more about the licensing aspect of it. What exactly does that mean? Does that mean they have to go through, continuing education every year,
Right.
or?
Well, different fields within construction industry have different requirements. All of the trade professionals in this county, that's all plumbers, electricians, heating and cooling people, all have to be licensed, and there is continuing education required because that field is so dynamic. New products, new energy code kinds of things. So they are required to get a certain number of continuing education credit hours every so often, or every few years. Building contractors, general contractors, are not required to have continuing education. What they are required to have, though, is insurance to protect in case something happens on the site. So when they get licensed from MABCD, the building contractors make sure they're properly licensed and bonded, and make sure that we do a limited background on them to make sure that they're legitimate. The trade contractors, we do make sure they have their continuing education and check against that, and also make sure that they're insured as well. So that's why it's very basic in nature. A lot of people can be contractors, particularly general contractors, because all you have to do basically is have insurance. So that's why there's other phases to this. But if somebody's not even licensed, and we tell you that the person you're getting ready to hire is not even licensed, the rest of this isn't going to work, because that's a very minimal requirement that this jurisdiction requires for people to operate in Sedgwick County.
Just to make sure I understand, so if you do hire somebody that's not licensed and say somebody gets hurt on your property, then am I liable as a homeowner?
There's a ton of jeopardy there. You wouldn't, I don't think you'd be liable as a homeowner, but if you hire an unlicensed person, you're taking the risk of being scammed. You're taking the risk of not having a permit pulled and inspections done. And then in case if you ever want to sell the property, or if you do have a catastrophic incident in your house of a fire or a collapse, and we go backwards to see if it was inspected and permitted and it was not, then you have a chance to have loss as a homeowner or as a business owner. So there's a lot of reasons why you want to have licensed, legitimate people do the work, all above board, all properly permitted, all properly inspected, to ensure the safety of your family or your customers, and to make sure that you don't somewhere down the road lose money because somebody did an illegitimate deal, didn't build something right, and you now have a problem.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Anything else you want people to know?
No, that's it. If you have any questions, call our office.
All right. Thanks so much, Tom. I've learned a lot, and I'm sure you guys have too.
Okay.
Thanks for watching this City 7 News Now Update.